What's going on, everybody? It's your girl Thickness with the Quickness, and you are watching me on my YouTube channel, baby. But before we get started, I would like for you to like me, share me, and like it, share me with anybody you like and you love, anybody you like and you love, okay? And don't forget to hit the notification bell because every time your girl Thickness with the Quickness upload any kind of video, baby, you will be first to get notified. Here, first thing first, let me say this. Let me give a shout out to all my new subscribers. What's going on, baby? Thank you guys for choosing me. Okay. I want to give a shout out to all my old subscribers, baby. What's good in the neighborhood? I see you guys still rocking with your girl. And keep on rocking with me. Y'all, I am about to give out my very first shout out, okay? My very first shout out to one of my subscribers. I want to give a shout out to Clayton. Okay, Clayton Silk. Okay, thank you, God. Thank you for choosing me. Okay, I'm so happy every time I turn around. You sending me a like, you conversating with me in the comments, and I love that. I love that, and thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and thank you so much for rocking with me. So here's to you, Clayton, and your family. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for rocking with your girl. So, let's get started, y'all. So today, you guys. Today, baby, I got a story time, baby. Yes, I do. I got a story time for y'all, and I want to share it with y'all, okay? Because I got to share this one with y'all. All right. I'll be back, and don't y'all go nowhere here. Bam! And we back, y'all. So, y'all, okay. I was still kind of new on the west side. So y'all, on the west side, I didn't have too many people that I associate with. But anyway, I had got cool with this girl that we was going to school with, I went to school with and everything. So we got pretty cool. So I walked this route every day to school, y'all. Y'all, so every time I get to this building, y'all, I look up in the window and shit. It would be this light-skinned guy standing in the window and shit, kind of thick, muscular built and shit. Now looking in the window, y'all. Every time I look up in the window, y'all, he in the window with the window open up like that in his drawers. Standing in the window in his drawers every time I see him. And I'll be like, damn, what the fuck is up with him? So, I just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Every day, y'all, every morning I catch the bus, every time I come home from school, this guy will be in the window, with the window wide open, standing in the window with his drawers, in his drawers and shit. And half of the times, y'all, he be having an erection, okay? I started catching the bus on the other end. And I was being late more than ever and all that shit. Just changing that route kind of just fucked everything up. But I had to because I got tired of looking at this nigga with his drawers on. Standing in the window with his pee-pee. I got tired of that shit. So y'all, as I be on the bus, I look over there in the building, baby. He in the window, thinking he's finna see me, but I'm already on the bus. I look up here in the window, standing in the window. You don't see his body. You just see the curtain cover him up. You know what I'm saying? And I look up in the window. I said, okay. So I said, this motherfucker is doing this shit when he see me coming. This motherfucker is doing this shit, right? Baby, I look good in this orange. How y'all like this orange on me? Get down in the comments, baby. I'm kind of feeling this orange. All right, I'm bringing out the summer colors, baby. The summer colors is here, baby. Okay, I like this orange, baby. Wow. So one day I'm coming home from school and I heard somebody call my name, Candy. Candy. And I looked, I'm like, what the fuck is calling me? So I keep walking and shit. I hear somebody say Candy. So I look around again and I see somebody wave like this from across the street. Then I'm looking like, who the fuck is this waving? Then I looked a little harder. I said, that's that motherfucker be in the window with his motherfucking drawers on. So y'all, I start walking a little faster, So I go on into my building and shit. I said, that's some fucked up shit, He gonna speak to me, So I ain't paying it no mind, y'all. So the days go on and shit. So I'm steadily, catching the bus on the other end. So one particular morning, I look across the street. Now he found out what bus stop I'm on. So I look across the street. He's standing across the street, and I just kept walking. I was like, okay, this shit is getting kind of weird. Like, you was down there, now motherfucker, you getting up early in the morning just to come to the bus stop? Like, you should be sleeping somewhere. So I ain't paying no attention, y'all. I'm paying attention, but I keep going on about my day and shit. So I get home, change clothes, I go to work and shit. I'm going to work. As I'm walking down the street to go catch catch the bus, this bus going the opposite way. Walking down the street, catching my bus and shit. I see him standing on the corner. And I'm like, oh, is this motherfucker again? So I cross the street to go on the other side because I didn't want to run into him. So I cross the street and shit. And then as I'm crossing the street, y'all, he crossing with me down further. So as I'm walking and shit, I said, well, I can't cross back over. I got to keep on walking. So I walk and shit. He was like, hey, Candy. Hey, Candy. How you doing? How you doing? I'm like, I was like, hey, I'm good. So I kept walking. So my bus came right on. As soon as I walked to the corner, there go the bus. I get on the bus and shit. I'm like, damn, this is fucked up. Like that. So days go by, shit. Days go by. I'm like walking up to the store, go get some shit. I hear somebody, hey, Candy. And I look across the street. It's him. And I'm like, I said, well, I don't want to be rude to him because I know he probably started being fucked up. And then fucked up towards me. And then I said, if I be nice and speak, I said, that's probably going to open up another can of worms. So I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm between a rock and a hard place. I just don't know what to do. So I tries my best to ignore him when he calls my name. So I ain't say nothing. I walk on to the store, get what I need and shit. So I'll go to the crib next day and shit. So I was talking to this girl. So this girl was like, you better be careful of him. He got a mental problem. You better be careful of him. He's sick. She said, you like him? I said, no, I don't like him. I said, I don't understand why he keep following me and how he know my name. I said, I'm so scared of him. She said, yeah, you better be careful of him. He done got in a lot of trouble around here. Be messing with these little bitty ass girls and shit. And he got a mental problem. And they won't put his ass in a home. Everybody know, his family all know that something is wrong with him. But they keep letting him out and shit. Every time we turn around, he get let out. He is well known to be messing with little girls and be trying to rape little girls and shit. We call him the raper man. She said, the best thing you do, go to his house or tell one of his cousins them, because his cousin them stay right there on that corner. So you need to tell one of his cousins them. And I'm like, okay. She said, just be careful of him. She said, you better carry you something everywhere you go. Carry you something everywhere. She said, because he keep waiting on the bus stop for you and he keep watching you. She said, girl, you don't know what else he gonna do. And I was like, damn. I said, this is fucked up. Like that. And then so I turned to, she said, look behind her. She said, you see this girl right here? I said, yeah, I know her. I said, I know her. I see her around all the time. We talk a little bit. She said, that's his cousin. I said, it is? She said, yeah, that's his cousin. She said, you should tell his cousin. Maybe she could tell his mama. I said, okay, I see her today. We got lunch together. So anyway, lunchtime come around, I see his cousin. I say, hey, I said, I don't know who that guy is. I said, but he light skinned. And I said, he keep bothering me. I said, I look up in the window. He's standing in the window with his drawers and shit on. So she started laughing like it was funny. Girl, you lying. He be in the window with his drawers. I said, girl, yeah, he be in the window with his drawers on and on and he be having an erection. I said, man, can you tell him to leave me alone? I do not like him. Please tell him to leave me alone. She said, okay, girl. She said, I'll tell him. She said, his ass crazy. I said, yeah, I know he crazy. It's time to go home. So I leave. I go home from school and shit. And so I was like worried, like, what should I get off the bus there? What should I get off the bus at? So I said, you know what? I'm just going to get off at the bus with whoever get off the biggest crowd. That's where I'm going to get off at. So they end up everybody got off the bus at the end on Walbastia. So I get off on Walbastia. I start walking down to my block, walking down to the crib and shit. So I get in the crib. I don't see him. I'm like, ooh, thank God, thank God, thank God. So now I got to hurry up and get dressed to go to work. So I'm hurrying up and get dressed to go to work and shit. So as soon as I step outside, I look down the block. I see him standing down the block. So I end up taking another bus to school, to work, at which that bus took me all the way out, y'all. To keep from seeing him, I catch that bus. So I end up going way out my way to get to work. I'm late as hell. So I got off of work about 8 o'clock, 8:30. So by the time I get home, it's like 9. It's kind of started getting a little dark. So I get home from work and shit. So as I'm walking and shit up the street, it's a whole bunch of people outside and shit. Everybody just outside kicking. A whole bunch of people outside. So I looked up and shit. I see him. And he was like, "Hey, Candy." And he waved at me and shit like that. So I just kept walking. So when he waved at me, everybody looked at me, then looked at him and looked at his ass again. And then everybody just kept on doing what they was doing. And they looking at him and shit, like, man, what's going on? They could tell, they knew, because these is family. They knew it was a problem. Okay, because this is his family that live on this corner. So they looking at him and shit like, man, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, nothing. I know Candy. Like that. And I was like, no, you don't. So anyway, y'all, one night I get ready. I go outside. So, my curfew was at 12 o'clock. I had to be in the house at 12 o'clock on the weekend. So I'm outside and shit and kicking it and having a good ass time and shit. So I'm kicking it. Oh, I'm kicking it with Charlene. So anyway, I'm getting ready to come in the house and shit. So it's dark outside. So I'm coming up into the house and shit. So y'all, I hear somebody in the gangway. I'm hearing the motherfucking fence shaking and shit. It's shaking and shit. So I'm hearing the fence shaking and shit. So I hurry up and open the door and I run in the motherfucking house. I get in the door and shit and I lock the door and shit. So I just sat on the eased upstairs. So as I'm easing upstairs, y'all, I looked out the window, y'all. There he go. He done came through my gangway and shit. And then he looked up at the window and he started laughing like that and walked on off. And so one day, one of the guys on the street, across the street, he lived across the street, he was talking to me. He was like, Candy, he say, I know somebody like you, and this motherfucker crazy. And I said, what? I said, I don't like him. He said, I know you don't like him. I know you wouldn't even dare fuck with him. And you better not fuck with him, because this nigga is crazy. He ain't got good sense, man, like that. So anyway, y'all, I gone about my business, going to school, going to work and shit and everything. So this particular day, I missed my bus, y'all. I missed my bus and I was like, oh shit, my bus from going to work, coming home from work, I missed it. I was like, oh shit, I did not want to miss my bus. So now I'm going to have to walk up in the building. It's going to be dark outside. But you might as well say the whole entire block was pitch black. So I pulled my shit out and I had it in my hand and I had my key ready. Okay? I had my key ready, so I'm walking as fast as I can. I was like, God, please take care of me. Please, God. Please take care of me, God. Please take care of me, God. Y'all, I get to the motherfucking door, put my key in. This motherfucker said, Candy. Shit. Start screaming. Why you scare me like that? What do you want? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Why you scare me like that? Leave me alone. Why you keep on following me? Why you keep on? Candy, I like you, girl. I like you, girl. You keep telling people that you don't like me. I said, I don't like you. I said, I have a boyfriend. I said, please leave me alone. I said, you just scared the shit out of me. I said, why do you do this to me? Why you keep bothering me? I said, I do not like you. I said, please leave me alone, man. I said, I don't want to be bothered with you. Why do you keep doing this to me? He was like, I don't give a fuck what you talking about, girl. I want you and I like you. You gonna be my woman for real, Candy. I don't give a fuck. If you can't be my woman, you can't be nobody woman on this motherfucking block. And I mean that shit. For real. You hear me? You hear me? And I said, well, why you keep fucking with me? He said, my bad. I didn't mean to scare you. I said, what you expect you was going to scare me? I said, you standing on the damn gangway and as black as it is out here. I say, leave me alone. Please leave me alone. He's like, I don't think I can do that. And the motherfucker took off and walked. So I get in the building, y'all. I just start crying out, my heart racing. I'm scared. I'm just crying. I'm crying. So anyway, the next day come on, I had to go to school. I go to school. As soon as I get on the bus, I see his cousin. I say, hey, your cousin did some bogus ass shit last night. I said, I was coming in my door and I said, this motherfucker jumped out on me, man. I say, man, tell your cousin to please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. She said, well, look, she said, go to his mama. Call it, go to his mama house. I said, I'm not going in no building to talk to his mama. I'm not doing that. She said, well, I done told him over and over to leave you alone. He like you a lot. He just told me that he crazy about you. And I say, that's what it is. I say, don't you know I do not like him at all? Tell him to leave me alone. She said, well, I'll tell him again. We walking down the street. So when we walking down the street and shit, I see, she said, hey, she said, this who you want to talk to? This is mama. So she went and told the mama, she said, this girl want to talk to you like that. So she said, hello. And I said, hey, I said, ma'am, I said, can you please tell your son to leave me alone? I say, he scared me so bad the other day. I said, I was going up to my door to open the door and go in. He jumped out of the gangway on me. I say, please, can you tell him to leave me alone? Please, I'm begging you. Can you stop him and tell him to leave me alone? I said, I'm afraid of him. I said, I'm so scared of him. I said, please tell him to leave me alone. So she said, baby, I'm sorry that happened. She said, when I see his ass, I'm going to talk to him. When I see his ass, I'm going to talk to him. She said, here, take my phone number and call me if he fuck with you again. She said, I live right here, and if you need to come over to my house and tell me. She said, but when I get home, I'm going to talk to him. She said, how old are you, baby? I said, I'm only 17 years old. She said, this motherfucker, he's 22 years old, something. She said, he's a grown-ass man. He better leave you alone like that. And I said, please just stop him. Please, please. So then she said, I'm sorry, baby, like that. And so I'll walk on. So one day I'm getting out of school. Y'all, I don't know where he came from. He came from like out of like he was something just jumped out on your ass. I didn't even see which way he came. All I know, he was up on me. So when he came up on me, he was like, Candy, I'm just going to be honest with you, girl. I like you, and I want you to be my woman, and I don't want to hear no. I was like, I can't be your woman. I'm only 17 years old. I said, you 22 years old. You a grown man. Leave me alone. I got a boyfriend. I said, please leave me alone. I said, I don't understand why the fuck you keep fucking with me. I said, I ain't did shit to you. I don't like you. Leave me the fuck alone. You understand that? I said, what the fuck you not understanding? I do not want you, and I do not like you. Leave me alone before it be a big motherfucking mess around here. He was like, girl, I don't give a. He said, I like that rough talking. I like that shit. Now I really like your motherfucking ass. I said, you a sick motherfucker too in the brain. He said, yeah, that's what they say I am. He said, but look, I got something to show you. Then, y'all, I thought he finna do something to me. This motherfucker just break out and start flipping. Y'all know what flipping is? Just flipping. This motherfucker flipped from one end to the block to the next end of the block. And then he was doing flip-flop, no. Flip-flop, no. Flip-flop. I mean, this motherfucker was bad at the shit, y'all. He was gone flipping down the block and shit. I said, this motherfucker crazy. Baby, when I seen he was doing that shit, I hurry up and ran up in the door. Got up to the top of the stairs and shit, and I'm looking at the top of the, getting on the top of the stairs. I look at the hallway window. I'm looking at him and shit. He's steadily flipping. And I just went up in my house. I said, this shit is crazy. I said, well, I hope he got it through his head that I don't like him, and I hope he leave me alone like that. So as the days go by and shit, y'all, I didn't see him. I didn't see him for a while. So one day, I'm just outside and shit. I was just hanging out with Charlene. We had just left the park and shit. So I'm walking home. So as I'm walking home, y'all, he didn't start fucking up my time that I come in the house now. Because now I didn't start still coming in at 12 o'clock on the weekends. Now I'm starting to come in at 9 o'clock before it get too dark outside. Because I'm scared of this motherfucker. You know, fucking up my motherfucking summer, my weekends and everything, because I'm scared to come in the house at night now, you know. So I'm coming home and shit. I'm walking home and shit. He coming from his house. So I'm hearing somebody say, Candy, hey Candy, like that. So I look back. I knew it was him. I look back and shit. He like way down at the block, way down by his house and shit. So y'all, I just take off and start running. I'm running and shit. I run and get to my building. As I'm running and shit, I get to my building. I look back. He running too. So y'all, I got in the door and shut the door. The reason why I didn't tell my mama, y'all, because I knew my mama would have went ballistic. I knew it wasn't going to be nothing said. I knew nothing wasn't going to be said. All you would have been hearing was shit popping off. And I didn't want that to happen. I'm just in the crib just, you know, thinking like, what the fuck I'm going to do? Y'all, I always keep me something on me. I never leave home without anything on me to protect me. Because I work, you know, I come in at night. I always got something for myself, y'all. So y'all, I used to just carry one piece. I had started carrying two things on me. Two, and then I have two. So I had four things on me. You know, easy access. I always have it on me. You know, because I see right now I'm dealing with a psychopath, a pedophile, a freaky motherfucker that is just out his mind. And I don't know what the fuck it is about me that you want so bad, and I don't even want your ass. So one day I was coming up to the into my building, right? So as I turned the corner, he was already standing in the gangway. And I was like, I don't want to say his name. I was like, why are you standing right here? He said, girl, he said, I ain't gonna tell your motherfucking ass no more. I like you. So at this time, a neighbor was in her window. She was in her window. And she was like, she heard what she said. She said, is you all right, girl? I was like, no, not really. I said, no, not really. She said, you need some help? I said, yeah. It looked like it. I said, because it looked like he's on something. Wait, this motherfucker eyes just going crazy. He just going crazy. Candy, you know I just like you, girl. You know you just something about you, girl. I just like what you look like. I like to want to be with you, girl. You just, ooh, I just like you, Candy. Ooh, I'm just in love with you, Candy. It ain't nothing no motherfucker do about it. You hear me? And he take off and walk. So by that time, the girl and her two brothers, they came downstairs. She said, you know what? She said, that guy is crazy. She said, you better be careful. He's well known around here. I said, y'all done told me. I said, it's a whole bunch of other motherfuckers and told me the same shit too. My brother and them was like, yeah. He said, because I had to check his motherfucking ass about my little sister. He said he would never fuck with her again. I don't even know why he's standing close to this building. He said, but when I catch him, I'm going to let him know that you my little niece when I run into him again. And I was like, please do, please do. So anyway, I go to the motherfucking store. Go to the store. I'm on my way. I'm like, ooh, I didn't see him. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. So I'm running and going on to the store. I'm coming back home and shit. So as I'm coming back home, y'all, he's coming up the block and shit. He's coming up the block. So I'm like, I don't know which way to go. So I crossed the street to the other side. And so when I crossed the street to the other side, I just stood there and started talking to these guys that I knew that live in the neighborhood. So I'm talking to them. They was like, man, I've been hearing that old boy been harassing you. He like you and shit. He said, everybody been telling him to leave you the fuck alone. Why he keep fucking with you? I said, I don't know. He said, man, that dude crazy, girl. You better make sure you protect yourself and shit. He said, because that motherfucker crazy. He ain't got good sense. And I'm like, yeah, that's what everybody telling me. And I said, I'm scared. He said, man, that's all he talk about. He told everybody he go with you. You his girlfriend. I said, I'm not his girlfriend. He said, yeah, that's what he told us. Didn't he tell us that last night, man? That he said that Candy was his girlfriend. He said, oh, you Candy? He said, hell yeah, he told us Candy is his girlfriend. He said he loved Candy. I said, no, that's not my boyfriend. I don't like him. He said, man, Candy, I know you don't like nobody like that, man. Like that. I said, can y'all walk home with me? He said, yeah, because that nigga is right there. He said, when I see him, I'm going to tell him. He said, we're going that way. He said, I'm going to talk to him too. So I go on up and shit. I go in the crib and shit, and I see them talking and shit. He was like, man, leave. He was loud. He's like, man, leave Candy the fuck alone. She don't bother nobody. Why you fucking with Candy? Candy is not your girlfriend. Leave her the fuck alone, man. So they was talking and shit, and they started walking. So I'm giving my mama all her shit. I'm just going to the room. I shut the door and shit. So I was like, I ain't going back outside for the day. I'm just going to chill in the crib. So that's what I did. I stayed in the house all that day and shit. So next day I had to go to school and work. So I went to school, then I had to go to work. So I was gone all day from 6:30 in the morning all the way to 8:30 at night. So I get off the bus, y'all. Ain't nobody outside really. Nobody is outside. Everybody is, you know, you got a few people here, a few people there, and I was like, damn. So I just started walking fast to the crib. I'm walking fast to the motherfucking crib, y'all. Like I said, this motherfucker was just like a genie. He just appeared anywhere, out of nowhere. He just like a genie. Every time you turn around, this motherfucker just appear from nowhere. Now I'm looking all around and shit. I don't see nobody. Then all of a sudden, y'all, he's like about 4 feet ahead of me, in front of me. So I'm like, oh fuck, that's him. So I'm trying to hurry him get to the house and shit, y'all. He started jogging towards me. So as he jogging towards me, y'all, he got his wang wang out. So he running and shit, his wang wang just moving up and down. I was like, this motherfucker got his shit out. So I'm trying to hurry up and get in the motherfucking door and shit. And I'm pulling my shit out because I got it in my hand. I said, well, today gonna be the day, for him to get up out of here. Because I said, if he come up on me like this, I'm finna give it to him. So I turn into my walkway, and I'm walking into my walkway. He just run right past me. He don't say candy or nothing. He run right past me, and his wang wang out. He don't say nothing. He just running past me. And I turned around as I'm going into the door. I'm shaking so motherfucking bad. I can't even get the motherfucking key in the door. I'm shaking so bad. So I finally get the key in the door and shit. And I go in the door. I say, what the fuck is going on with this dude? Like, god damn, leave me alone. So days going on, y'all. So I end up staying it was the weekend. So I stayed in the house that whole weekend. I stayed in the house that whole weekend. So it was a holiday. So we had Monday off, I believe. So I decided to go outside because they had a block party. Because one of the girls that I knew was saying, they got a block party. You should come around. You should come over here. They're having a block party. Come over, come over, come over. I was like, man. I said, I'll come over if you meet me halfway. She said, okay, I will. I'll meet you halfway. Call me when you're ready. So I called them like, I'm ready. She said, all right, I'm leaving out the door now. So she leave out the door, I'll leave out the door. Because that's how you connect with people. We didn't have cell phones back then. That's how you know how to catch a bus. That's how you know how to call a person, tell them where to meet you at. All that type of shit was timing. And if you had to call them on the phone, you had a pay phone. That's what we did. Put the quarter in the phone and you call them on the pay phone. That's how you knew how to connect with people. We didn't have no cell phones like that back then. Okay? So I leave out, I go around the corner, she meet me. So we walking and shit. She was like, you still having problems with old boy? I said, yeah. I said, I just saw him the other day. He was running down the street and he had his dick out and he was running and shit up and down the street with his dick out. She said, you saw that? I said, yeah. She said, that motherfucker's crazy. They need to put that motherfucker, lock him back up. I said, yeah. I said, I thought he was finna say something to me, but he kept running. He was just looking at me. He just looked at me and ran past the house with his dick out. And I was like, damn, like that. And she was like, yeah. She said, yeah, that motherfucker crazy. She said, I say, here, you seen him out here? She said, no, I didn't see him out here. He not over here at the block club party. He said, but we having fun over here. Come on, girl, let's have some fun and shit. I said, I ain't gonna be able to have no fun. I'm gonna be too worried about this motherfucker, being around here and trying to say something to me. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, no, I didn't see him. She said, well, you should be okay. Like that. Yeah, I ain't like that. And I'm like, okay. So I'm at the bar party and shit. I'm just kicking it, having a good time or whatever and shit. But I'm still watching my back in case I don't see this motherfucker. Still looking around, making sure I don't see him. So anyway, the block party is over with, y'all. I'm walking back home. So she walks me halfway because she didn't walk me halfway home like she did. I gotta go. I got something to do. Go here. I'm gonna walk you to the corner. And I said, okay. So instead of her walking me to the corner that I lived on, she ended up walking me down on the other corner of Walbansia. So I was like, okay, fine. So I'm walking down Walbansia, y'all. I'm walking down Walbansia. So as I'm walking down Walbansia, y'all, I'm coming across the alley, the gangway is what we call it. As I'm coming across the gangway, I'm coming this way, and he's coming this way. So I'm coming this way. So as I'm coming this way, I turn around and I looked him dead in his face because he was like, he about this far away from me. I turned around and looked, and he was right there. So I kept walking. He was like, Candy, I'm tired of you telling motherfuckers that you ain't none of my girlfriend. I'm tired of telling motherfuckers that you don't like me and I'm not your boyfriend. Why you keep telling motherfuckers? I say, you not my boyfriend. I say, leave me alone. I do not like you. Stay the fuck out of my face, man. I'm getting tired of this motherfucking shit. You keep harassing me and shit. I say, leave me the fuck alone. You not my boyfriend. I said, stop telling people that. And then I say, stop fucking hiding around my building and stop showing your fucking Peter and shit. I said, don't nobody want to see that shit. He was like, oh, bitch, you trying to get smart, bitch? This motherfucker just hogged off, y'all. And as he talking to me, his eyes going crazy and shit. He going crazy. His eyes just moving all around. And, motherfucker, who you talking to? You talking to me like this, motherfucker? Huh? You're wiping his mouth. You talking to me, motherfucker? Huh? And then all of a sudden, y'all, he just, whoop. He pushed me so hard, y'all. I went back like that and shit. And I caught myself, you know. I caught myself and shit. And I was like, he pushed me so hard, y'all. He hurt my back. That's how hard he pushed me. But I wasn't able to fall. He didn't push me down. I kept my balance and shit. So as soon as he did that shit, his cousin like, man, leave that girl alone. Man, why the fuck you push that girl like that? Leave that girl the fuck alone, man. Why you push that girl like that? Why you push that girl? He said, you all right, Candy? Because everybody knew my name around there. You know what I'm saying? He said, you all right, Candy? I'm like, no. I said, no, my back hurt. I said, he pushed me hard, it hurt my back. He's like, Candy, he said, go on. He said, go on, Candy, go on home, Candy, go on. So he was like, man, so he grabbed, he's like, man, why you keep fucking with that girl, man? Why you keep fucking with that girl, man? Why you do that shit to that girl? That girl ain't did shit to you, man. Look at you, you all eye and shit. You on this shit. Going crazy and shit, motherfucker. So he here telling him, man, leave me the fuck alone. He said, man, I'm finna call the police on your ass. You finna go to jail, man. You gonna go, no, don't call the police. Don't call the police. He said, leave that damn girl alone. That girl don't motherfucking like your motherfucking ass. You could hurt that girl. You could have hurt that girl, man. You finna hit that girl again. He said, if I wouldn't have stopped you, you would have hit that girl, man. He said, leave that girl the fuck alone, man. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Leave that girl alone. So, y'all, I'm walking home. I'm crying. Not only that, I was scared, my back was hurting, and I knew that this guy was no joke. Anyway, I'm walking down the street. I ran into my kid's father, my two oldest kids' father, and his name is Tony. So I was crying. He was like, hey, Candy. He said, you all right? I was like, no. I called his name. I say he pushed me so hard that I hurt my back. And I said, and he was finna get ready to punch me. He was like, for real? I was like, yeah. He say, I know you're that nigga. I say, yeah. He said, that's my little cousin. I was like, for real? He's like, yeah. He said, that's my little cousin. He said, that nigga crazy too. He said, I'm gonna walk with you. He said, I'll walk you to your door. And I said, okay. And I'm just crying and crying, y'all. I couldn't even stop crying. He said, I'm sorry, Candy. He said, when I get around there, he said, I'm gonna talk to him. He said, I'm gonna talk to him and I'm gonna ask him, I'm gonna let him know what he did was wrong. He said, that nigga crazy. He said, that nigga be doing all type of weird shit around here. He done been in trouble so many times that I just don't understand why the fuck he can't get his shit together. He said, but I'm going to talk to him, okay, Candy? And I was like, okay, please do. He ended up, so he walked me to the door and I was still crying and he was like, I'm sorry. I hate that happened to you. He said, but he said, you ain't going to have no more problems out of him. You understand me? He said, you would not have a problem with him no more. Do you understand? And I was like, yeah. He said, I'm going to put a stop to this shit. He said, where you seen him? And I said, he was in the alley over there. I said, I think that was your other cousin had him over in the corner, had grabbed him. He said, okay. He said, I'm going to go talk to him now. So anyway, he go over there and talk to him and everything. So I go upstairs, y'all. I'm in so much pain. I'm crying. I just lay across my bed. So I just laid there and I laid there and I laid there and I cried and I cried and I cried. So the next day came and shit. I ended up going to school and go to work. So I ended up running into Tony. He said, hey, baby. He said, I talked to him. He said, you shouldn't have no problem with him. He said, I know you ain't gonna have no problem with him. He said, so somebody called the police on him. So he's locked up now. And I was like, for real? He said, yeah, he in jail now. And they said when he get through getting out of jail, they're gonna put him in a mental home. And I was like, okay, cool. He said, but I did talk to him. He said, you ain't, I did got that taken care of. And I was like, okay, thank you. Like that. He said, no problem, Candy. And he just looked at me and he smiled. And I looked at him and smiled, and I kept saying, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I said, thank you, Tony. He said, no problem, Candy. He said, you take care. And I was like, okay. So Tony went his way and I went my way. But yeah, y'all, that's the end of the story. That's how it ended. I never seen him no more. I didn't give a fuck. I'm glad I didn't see him. Thank you. Thanks to the God that I didn't see him no more. Okay, y'all. But yeah, y'all, that's the end of the story. I know this story is long, baby. This story is so long, baby. I'm going to have to chop this story up as best as I can. Okay, y'all? Because this is a long story, baby. Ooh, wee. What do that minute say? That stay, child. I ain't going to even tell y'all how long this story is. But anyway, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Get down in the comments and leave me a comment. Let your girl know what you want to say or how you want to say it. But just be mindful in those comments, you guys. And I just want to say thank you guys for choosing me. But in the meantime, between time, God bless. Y'all stay safe. And I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Peace.